Hello, my beautiful Facebook family. How are you today? Just jumping on live today with a fresh burst of encouragement for you as we are in the roaring 20s. And it's almost been a pause for many in this now season where it's almost like in that pause, there's been a lot of fog and confusion. And a lot of people have felt like they've almost gone 2 steps forward in the past season. And in this now season, it's almost a sense of feeling like you've gone backward. But I want to encourage you, friend. I've got a fresh burst of encouragement for you from the heart of God today, which I really believe is going to strengthen you, give you some sustenance as you continue to stay plugged in, to stay in your lane in terms of the things that God has called you to. Many of you are in the fiery trials of life. You're walking through difficulties, challenges, etc. And there's a sense of just this foreboding. But in this now season, you are going to see the faithfulness of God is upon you, friend. I really believe God is going to just place a gift in your hand this day, which is going to encourage, strengthen you, a sense of His presence as His portion upon you this day, to give you the sustenance and the substance that you need so that you can continue on your way. Good morning. How are you today? Tell me where you're jumping on from today. Great to see you here today. There's a couple of you jumping on now, just waiting for a few of you to jump on. Tell me what you're up to, where you're jumping on from. We're still in the middle of a heat wave here in my hometown of Perth, Australia. We're coming to the tail end of our hot summer into our lovely autumn. I look forward to getting some bulbs into the soil for the autumn, for the spring to come as winter comes and then the spring comes. And isn't it beautiful how God has given us the seasons in this life so that we can pause and reflect and just get the cool of the night and the hot days and the winter days, etc. It's really a prophetic picture of the seasons of our lives. And it's a season sometimes where it feels like it's a sense of barrenness or a sense of isolation, but there's much things happening in those times, in those quiet times, in that sense of hiddenness. In this now season, you're going to see God has been working behind the scenes and He's going to be seen on your scene in this now season. So the word I've got you is out of Daniel today. I really believe the Hebrew boys, the 3 boys in the fire, they were thrown in that fire because of their faithfulness to the King of Kings and not to the king. And what is that a prophetic picture of in this now season, in this now time where there's many voices around us in this now season, in this now time, wanting competing for our time, our attention, competing for our heart's desire. I really believe fresh fire, friend, is going to be upon you in this now season as God is going to release you out of the fiery trials and you're going to see an upgrade in your hand and in your land. Just as we saw those 3 Hebrew boys that came out of the fiery trial, out of the furnace, because the 4th man was in there and the king, who was appointed at the time, a very wicked, evil king, decreed and declared and made a decree that in the land that the God of Shindigo and these 3 Hebrew boys was the God that was the one to be honored, and it was healing, and there was in the land, and in those boys' hands was given a gift of promotion. And I really believe that's a prophetic picture for you, friend, that the promotion that's upon you in this now season is because God's favor is in your hand. He's in your hand and He's in your land, and the land is a blessing attached to the land that you're on and that you're in terms of your workplace, in terms of where your residence of where you live in this now season. Some of you are relocating into new lands because God has got things to place in your hand. You have been forged in the fire and there's been fiery trials surrounding you, but there's almost a sense of God wants to upgrade you in your mindset this day. The dross and the things of the past, they are gone and done. In this now season, you're going to see healing on the run. He's healing your soul, He's healing your mind, and He's bringing healing to your heart where there's been a sense of false guilt and a false start, where the enemies come in like a flood to annihilate your mind, to make you feel like there's a sense of going backwards, where there's a sense of a test amid the mess, where you felt like you've been abandoned by colleagues, by family, by friends, etc., where there's been a sense of isolation. You felt like you've been in the fiery trials in this life, but God has been the 4th man. He's been the man, and He's got the time span in His hand. And I tell you what, friend, you have not missed the boat in this now season. You're going to float. You're going to step out on the water with fresh fire in this now season because breakthrough is upon you. It is the faithfulness of God that's in your hands, friend. Just as we see with the woman in Luke 7:47, she went into Simeon's house and she'd been forgiven much, and therefore she had extravagant worship. She knew she'd been forgiven much. And many of you, it's a prophetic picture also of the trials and the tribulations and the difficulties in this life that you face, the injustices, the battles, the sense of a diagnosis or a label, or a sense of being labeled with a certain persona or with a certain thing that you have to do in this life to make yourself worthy or to receive the blessings of favor that you need. And I want to encourage you, God is upgrading you in your mindset. He has given you His favor. His faithfulness is upon you. I tell you what, friend, your sins have been forgiven. You can forget the past. You can lay it all down. I tell you what, friend, the burdens of your past are over. Regret the things that you need to forget. Regret and forget. Regret and forget in this now season, because God says, I've got upgrade for you in the fire. Through the wounding, through the tarry, through the tarry, in this now season, you're going to see, just like Mary, she came and she sat at the feet of the beautiful feet of King Jesus. You're going to see in this now season that the fourth man has been in the fire with you. There's an upgrade for you in your mindset in this now season, and God is releasing you as His faithfulness is upon you, friend. I want to encourage you. There's fresh courage in this word today to be released through you in this now season, as God is leading you out and into the good things that He's got for you. He's got upgrade and favor to place in your hand upon your land. The land that you're living in, you're going to see milk and honey in this now season, and you're going to see promotion and favor in the land. Even though you might be surrounded by wickedness, even though you might be surrounded by evil, even though you might be surrounded by white ants, people that have white anted you, they've wanted something from you and they've tried to take from you, but now that they feel a sense of, I don't know what it is, but it's just a sense of competition, or a sense of somehow that their opportunity is going to be missed because you're on the scene. That is just nonsense. That's the wisdom of this world. We don't walk in that kind of wisdom. We are laid down lovers. We walk in our lane and we stay faithful and true. And I tell you what, friend, the faithfulness of God is upon you. You're going to see the fourth man in the fire in this now season, as God is upgrading and calling you into higher places. He's saying the dross and the difficulty and the challenges that you've faced has been a forging in the fire, because my faithfulness is in your face. The faithfulness of God is upon you. You're going to see yourself in the fiery trials and the difficulties that you're facing this day. You're going to see yourself with a ram in the thicket, because the fourth man is in your fire. The fourth man is in your fire in this now season. 4 is a metaphor of doors. He is the door. He's leading you out. He's leading you in. Courage is upon you, friend. I want to encourage you. You might feel like you have little in your hand. You might feel like little in your time span. But God is saying there's upgrade, there's increase, and there's more in store. I'm leading you out from your shore. It is time to leave the shores of safety, the shores of security, the shores of sense of dumbing things down to your own experience. And I tell you what, there's going to be courage on the run, and you're going to see the sun, and you're going to have fun as God is leading you out in this now season with healing in His wings. I just see the wraparound glory presence of God upon you, giving you sustenance and substance this day, because God has led you out. You might see evil all around you, but you don't have to be intimidated by the evil. You don't have to be intimidated by the works of the enemy. You don't have to be intimidated by the ploys of the enemy. You don't have to be intimidated by the work of the flesh even. You might see people walking in the flesh, and it's a sense of a temptation. I tell you what, friend, in this now season, you can keep your eyes fixed on the King. He is your ram in the thicket. He is your fourth man in the fire. And I tell you what, friend, you have been forged in the fire. Keep getting that word forged. And just reading out of the dictionary this morning, I was reading the word forge. It says here, to make or write a fraudulent invitation or a fraudulent form. It can also mean beating and hammering, as in the sense of a furnace and a fire. It's so many metaphors to this word forge. It also means to redefining for a metal workshop, etc. It says also to move you forward gradually or steadily. And forgery is an act of forged documents, etc. And I really believe there's two parallels the Spirit of God wants to minister to you today. Some of you, it's almost like your identity has been forged. It's almost like there's been a sense of a pervading over the top of the truth. And so it's almost like in the sense of this pause, in the sense of you haven't seen a breakthrough, you felt like there's been a forgery, there's been a sense of identity theft where you've bitten into that lie and you feel like you're going to die. You've bitten into that sense of not enough, or that sense of condemnation which has come upon you. But God has forged a way. I tell you what, friend, He's made a way, and He's barracking for you. He's breaking you through. He's forging you forward. You're actually moving forward in this now season amid the pause, amid the sense of you cannot see clearly. The opportunities for you to move forward haven't been clear in this previous season, in the last few months. But I believe in this now season, God is saying He's forged a way for you. Do not buy into the lie, the bait of Satan, the lie of offense, the lie of a false identity. In this now season, as you keep your eyes fixed on the King, you're going to see that fourth man in the fire, and He is in your ring. He is boxing for you. He is in your ring, and He's leading you out this day, because breakthrough is upon you as you pay. P-E-Y. Even in the middle of that forging and that fire and that test and that intimidation and the spirits which come, the evil intimidation which comes to break you down, to shut you down, to divide you, to divide your house. A house divided, friend, cannot stand. And you are a house house. You are that stone that has been built into the rock, the foundation of Christ Jesus. And I tell you what, friend, in this now season, as you lift your eyes to the King, as you decree what he says over your ring, as you decree what he says over your situation, you're going to hear heaven's bells ringing over your situation. Heaven's bells of unity, heaven's bells of blessing, heaven's bells of prosperity, heaven's bells of an upgrade, increase, and more, that you can walk into his presence with a confidence and a courage and a clarity and receive what he has for you in his hand today. I tell you what, friend, there's a forging of the way. God is bringing healing on the run. You are not going to have regret. You're going to be able to forgive and forget, and you're going to see that the fire of his presence is leading you on the run. I tell you what, friend, it's been a time of pause, but it's not been a time of going backward. You're actually being forged forward as God is making a way. This is the beauty, friend, about walking in the Spirit. As we trust in the faithfulness of God, as we see the mercy kisses of grace on our face, we shake off the shackles of condemnation. We shake off the shackles of false guilt. We shake off the shackles of the lies of the enemy. That is how we can stay in our lanes, friend. The thing that God has called you to, the thing that God has been barracking over you for. I tell you what, friend, breakthrough is upon you this day because love has disarmed and made a way. Luke 7:47. The sinful woman, she came into Simeon's house, and the Pharisees were there, and the Sadducees, and they couldn't see the beautiful feet of Jesus right there. All he saw was the splendor of his beauty and his love for this woman. And I tell you what, she gave the alabaster jar, and she washed his feet with her tears and with her hair. And I tell you what, in this now season, you're going to see you are dear. You're going to see you are loved. You are the dough. You can go and you can flow because the spirit of love is upon you. God is breaking you through into all things new, friend. There's upgrade upon you. There's increase upon you and more in this now season. You can go in this now season because the Spirit of God is blowing upon you. The Ruach of God, the breath of God is being released through you this day. I tell you what, friend, upgrade, increase, and more is upon you this day. I tell you what, friend, the things that God has said in the past day, you shall see a breakthrough upon you this day. You shall see an increase. You shall see a release. I tell you what, the honey of heaven is permeating through your situation, through your family, through your nation, through your community. In this now season, you shall see that ram in the thicket. You shall see that fourth man in the fire. I tell you what, Nebuchadnezzars of this world, they have not got the authority. I tell you what, in this now season, it's the King of glory. He's upon you this day. He's crowned you with beauty for ashes. He's given you a ring on your finger. He says, you ever shall be in my presence. My sustenance and my substance is upon you this day. I've led you out to lead you in because miracles are on the way, friend. Miracles are on the way, friend. I tell you what, there's upgrade, there's increase and more. And in your pause, you can rejoice in your pause. You can rejoice in that sense of not knowing the way forward because God has forged a way. He's made a way. You may feel like you've been hammered in the fiery trials of life. You may feel like there's been identity fraud. You may feel like there's been identity theft. But I tell you what, the thief, he shall not kill, steal, and destroy. John 10:10. I've seen that for weeks on end now. John 10:10. The Lord comes to give life where there's been strife. Where the enemy comes in like a flood, the Lord raises up a standard. And in this now and in this season, you shall see breakthrough, friend, is upon you. The fiery presence of God surrounds you, friend. I tell you what, you are protected. You are safe. You are loved. You are nurtured. You are nourished. And in this now season, you shall see love from above. You shall see that ram in the thicket, that fourth man in the fire. You do not have to fear not, for though you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned. Though you walk through the water, you shall not drown. Fear not, says the Spirit of God. Faith has positioned you for breakthrough in this now season. And in this now season, you shall see through the fiery trials, through the sense of not enough, through financial disparity, through challenges, through difficulties, through all the rest of it. In this now season, that religious shackle shall not have a hold of you. It's for freedom, friend, that Christ has set you free. You are free to be in this now season. And in this now season, you shall go out on the seas. You shall go out on the storms in life. And I tell you what, you're going to win victory battles. You're going to see a victory parade because all of heaven is barracking for you, friend. I tell you what, friend, it's time to rise. It is time to build. It is time to let out a shout. It is time to rejoice and see the goodness of God in your land and in your hand. God is releasing into your hand blessings to stay, blessings of favor, blessings of upgrade with man, blessings of opportunities. He's opening up bifold doors. He's opening up concertina doors. And in this now season, friend, it is time to run with him in your hand. It's like a child that takes a hand of their parent and they run and they have fun and they trust that parent because they're a good father, they're a good mother. And I tell you what, friend, he's a good daddy. He ain't ever going to let you down. He ain't ever going to run out on you. His love is permeating around you. His love is enough. You're going to see the power of God's love breaking you through this day, where you can walk through, and the ruach, the breath of God, is being released over you this day, because breakthrough is upon you, friend. I tell you what, that fourth man is in the fire. He's in the fire amid that challenge. He's in the fire amid that test. Death shall not have its decree over you. Victory is heaven's decree. I decree the healing of heaven over you this day, that you'll be able to rise, you'll be able to build into the good things that God has for you. For some, it's just a stillness internally, that your house will be a house of peace, that your house will be a house of rest, that you'll be able to have sustenance and substance, that you'll be able to be rested amid the test. I tell you what, friend, that's a promise from God for you today. Peace be still to this house. That was the very first thing we see in the Gospels. As Jesus went into a house, he said, peace to this house. He is the Prince of Peace, friend. You are one in the Son, W-O-N and O-N-E, one in the Son. The battle is won over your mind. The battle is won over your destiny. The battle is won over your family. The battle is won over your finances. The battle is won over your heart's desire. The battle is won over your physical disparity. In this now season, you shall see the King is in the fire with you. I tell you what, friend, you ain't going to have fear intimidating you, your foreboding intimidating you. You're not going to feel like you're out for the count. You're not going to feel like you're taking steps backward. I tell you what, when an arrow goes back, it goes out and it gets shot and it hits the target every time. That is what's happening when you feel like there's a step backwards. It's actually the bow and the arrow. And the archer takes the bow and the arrow goes out in the bow. And what happens? It shoots out of there and it hits the target. I tell you what, friend, you are on track, you are on target, and you are on time. And some of you, it's almost a sense of the pause. You feel a sense of guilt. You feel a sense of guilt in the pause. Friend, God, it's eternity and time are in God's hands. And God knows how he's wired you. Rest is a weapon. I rest a lot in the gaps. I tell you, I refuse to be in a frenetic pace and a frenetic lifestyle. I'm not talking about responsibilities and stewarding my life. I have a very full life. I have 5 children. I'm a very, very busy lady. But in the same time, I have a lot of no in my life, a lot of no's, and I choose to say no to a lot of opportunities. I choose to say no to doing things in the flesh. I choose to say no because I'm trying to build something in the flesh. Friend, you can do one thing, one day in his presence, one day in his courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere. And the favor of the King, one kiss from the King can change everything. So, friend, yes, you need to put your shoulder to the wheel. It's a sense of the ox, the 4 faces of God, the lion, the ox, the eagle, and the man. But a friend, I tell you what, being in his presence and resting and pausing and being with him is the most wondrous thing, because out of that time of intimacy, out of that time of connection, as you're doing your duties and you're doing your work through the day, etc., and paying your bills, etc., and being responsible, the responsible child of God on earth, stewarding heaven on earth, etc. I mean, friend, if you're not working, you ain't going to eat, friend. So go out and get a job. And so I just want to encourage you in that thing, that pause is a good thing. That pause is a good thing. And friend, if it's a job you're looking for today, I just decree the faithfulness of God be over you, the favor of God be over you, that upgrade, increase, and more would be there for you. Maybe you've had a redundancy this week. Maybe you are through COVID-19 and not able to be in employment. Maybe your state's shut down. It just isn't. You're all living on welfare, etc. I want to encourage you this day. God is the God of upgrade. He's the God of increase, and he's the God of more. And I pray that your application would go to the top of that door. Your application would go to the top of the pile, and that you would see favor in the middle of that disparity, in the middle of that difficulty. I tell you what, friend, we have seen the favor of God. We've seen the provision of God. We've seen the portion of God. We have seen the deliverance of God. I mean, I'm a single mommy with 5 children. And, you look at my situation, the natural, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. But I know that if I stay in my lane, if I stay faithful and plugged into the truth, as I keep declaring the truth over my children and I, that God is the ram in the thicket. He has made a way. He's the way maker. And he's making a way for you, friend. I tell you what, friend, you are not alone. You don't have to suffer loneliness. You don't have to suffer a sense of isolation. You don't have to lick wounds of the past, etc. You can let it all go. I tell you what, there's no condemnation to those in Christ Jesus. Romans 8. There is therefore no condemnation. None. Nothing. No disparity, no difficulty, no challenges that you face. There's no condemnation. How can you be condemned, friend? How can you be condemned? Yes, you can come under conviction of the Holy Spirit. Absolutely. We walk holy, holy, holy is he. The friend, I tell you what, there is no condemnation. So don't whip yourself. Don't carry false guilt and false burdens, etc. That's just a disgrace to the gospel. The blood is enough. We stand on the word of his testimony, friend. Every time you feel like you're not enough, every time you don't feel like you meet the mark, etc. What mark? I mean, how long is the measuring stick if you're trying to do this in the work of the flesh? A friend, walking in the Spirit is about walking in your new nature identity, the Christ, the hope of glory, paid for you at the place of Calvary. It is getting our minds into renewing of the truth. And then as we walk in the truth and love, that is when we see a dove. That is when we see the peace descending upon us. That is when we see the power of his presence permeating through us. That is when we see a release So, friend, if there's a pause in your situation, in your season right now, don't be discouraged, friend. You are not going to come into disparity. You're not going to come into a sense of falling to the wayside. In this now season, one kiss from the King shall change everything. I tell you what, friend, God is all upon you. COVID-19 ain't going to take you out. The fact that you live in one nation and you want to move to another nation is not going to take you out. I tell you what, rest is your weapon amid the test. As you stay anchored and true to the truth and love, that is when you're going to see him shoot you out of the arrow and you're going to hit the target. I tell you what, friend, you ain't going to miss your destiny. You're not going to miss that, the calling and the purpose and the plans that God has for you. I tell you what, friend, I tell you, he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. And in this now season, you're going to see upgrade, you're going to see increase, and you're going to see more because he's a good, good father. He's got good things in store for you. Souls alive in this now season. Your soul shall come alive and thrive in this now season. Many of you are harvesters. You're going to see the harvest is white and it's ripe, and you're going to see many souls coming in through your backstories, your opportunities as you step out of the boat, etc. Just as you testify of the faithfulness of God, you're going to see many souls coming into intimacy, and it's almost going to be like an exponential curve in this now season as you're able to stand back and see God coming through and kicking the enemy to the curb. So be encouraged in that word today. God bless you. How are you, Monica? God bless you, beauty. Good to see you today. Hello, Christine. God bless you. The fire of his presence surrounding you this day. I just decree peace over your situation, peace over your sleep, Christine, that you just be able to have a restful sleep, which is sweet. That download in the night would come from the heavenly realm. You know, we can have the soul realm in our dreams. We can have the demonic realm, and we can have that, you know, God's realm. Much of what we dream is our soulish. It's about us. It's about our own desires, etc. But be encouraged, friend. God is speaking to you in dreams in this now season. You'll know it's a repeat dream because it's God. You'll know that God is trying to get through to you something. Read everything through a redemptive lens, friend. That is how you get into the glory. That is how you actually get a release of something sweet. As you read things through through the lens of heavenly realm, as we tap into the truth, as we tap into King Jesus. Why does God give you dreams in the night, friend? He wants to give you dreams because he wants to strengthen and encourage you, not just warnings, etc., and going around super spiritual and suspicious, etc. I tell you what, the blood is enough. If you come running in as you are as a child into the holy of holies, the blood is enough for you. You are one in the Son, and in this now season, an angel of the Lord is with you in your bedroom. An angel of the Lord is with you, camping around your home. You are protected. You are safe, friend. He sits at the right hand of the Father and intercedes for you 24/7. So don't feel like you ain't doing enough or you're not interceding enough. I tell you what, that is a work of the flesh. I want to release you from shackles of condemnation. Those of you feel like you haven't covered the watch or haven't done this or haven't done that, friend, there's a much higher level of truth in this thing today. I want to encourage you as you're walking in the Spirit. It is finished at the cross. And as you worship him in spirit and truth, no devil can stick to you. As you worship him in spirit and truth, you are just coming up higher. You are coming into sustenance, substance, and power in this hour. And everywhere you go turns to gold. Everywhere you go turns to gold. There's just favor upon you at the shops, at the shopkeeper. There's favor with you at the traffic lights. There's favor with you at the robots. There's favor with you when you're out connecting, etc., and communicating, etc. The favor of God, friend, upgrades you much more and much higher than what anything else can do as you just trying to, work your way into the presence of God and work your way to protect yourself, etc. I want to encourage you to come up higher. Just trust those dreams in the night. They are from the Spirit of Yahweh. God is breathing upon you. I tell you what, in this now season, there's an acceleration as the body of Christ comes into identity. It's all about ID, friend. As you see, as Christ sees the hope of glory in you, that's when you're going to part impossible seas. How are you today, Debbie? God bless you today. It is finished, friend. Good morning, Michelle. How are you today? How are you? It's great to see you. Hello there, Susan. God bless you today. Kingdom warriors, absolutely laid down lovers. And I tell you what, that is how the truth penetrates through the darkness and breaks out, and miracles start to take place around us as we step into the truth, which is King Jesus, as we rest in his love, as we see that he is and he's our faithful one, the faithful one amid the test, etc. So regret you can let go of today. You can let go of the difficulties, the challenges, and the disparity, because upgrade is on the way. You're going to see God has released you and is releasing you amid the pausing in his presence is powerful, friend. So don't listen to the noise and the whistling in the second heaven. I tell you what, amid the pause, it is a powerful time, and you're going to be taken back like that arrow, and you're going to shoot out of that archer's hand, the hand of God, and you're going to hit the target, and you're going to see explosions of glory all around you. So be encouraged with that word today. Just as the fourth man in the fire, Nebuchadnezzar, actually upgraded those 3 Hebrew boys, and he made a decree across the land, and those boys had promotion. And I tell you what, in this now season, that is a word from God for you today. There is promotion in your hand and in your land. God has given you fresh land, which is territory, and he's giving you promotion in your hand. So God bless you this day. That's the honey of heaven. That's the word of the Lord for you. I'm shooting off now and praying for you. I'm excited excited that God is on the throne amidst impossible situations, and mountains of doubt are being annihilated as the power of love is bursting through onto your scene this day. So be encouraged, be strengthened, have a great working day, a good evening. I'll talk to you again 2 days on a live, and I'll type some notes up for you later today too. God bless you, friends. Take care now. Bye-bye.